After 1,000 hours of Counter-Strike, I still cannot tell if I'm getting better or I just suck with more confidence. Like many of you highly productive individuals, I have spent a disturbing amount of time playing this beautiful game, and sometimes I even look like I know what I'm doing. Oh my god! Sometimes. But just like in life, one mistake never comes alone, and most of the time I don't even know which mistake started it. I play, I win some games, I lose some games, and I confidently make a decision and immediately discover why my teammates had the good sense not to do exactly that.
In the corner.
Then I queue again, expecting something to magically change, but like most of you, I would eventually like to get good at something. Problem is, life is complicated, Counter-Strike has a scoreboard, so let's start there. Oh! I want to find out how far I can go if I simply stop playing and actually learn how to improve. What does an average Counter-Strike player, actually know? What don't I know? And am I even average? The obvious answer to that question would be my rank. But the rating, or my rank, tells me where I am. It doesn't tell me why I'm there. It cannot tell me whether I'm winning because of my aim, how good I use my utility, my positioning, my decision making.
I have bomb, little bomb.
Or well, anything else. If I actually want to improve, I need to understand every concept. The only thing I can be objective about is my successes and mistakes, things I'm bad at. For example, if I'm the entry guy, and 20 out of 20 times I just run in, die, create no space, gather no information, credit only my sanity, and force the defenders to take no risks whatsoever, objectively I am bad at entering sites. The worst part is, I still have absolutely no idea why I'm bad at it. So why don't we take a look together? On the first attempt, my crosshair placement is in the general direction where the first enemy should be, which is great. However, once I have decided that the enemy most likely is not there, my aim is somewhere in the vicinity, the general region of the enemy's kneecaps. Not to mention where I was in the relation to my teammates. Now, while I understand that there is such a concept as is flanking, that is not what I had in mind. I was simply sick of these two guys and allowed myself to get tilted and gain absolutely nothing from that anger. This example, quite simple. Poor crosshair placement and no organization. I entered the bomb site without my team and achieved roughly what you would expect. But those were only the symptoms. The actual cause was that I allowed my anger at my teammates to make the decision for me. Sometimes the problem is my knowledge. In this round, for example, my teammate clearly calls out aim.
Mid of B.
The whole team, including me, knows exactly where he is. But I have zero clue how I should throw my smoke or flash on this section of the map to get an advantage. I have almost everything I need to make his life significantly more difficult. But I'm a nice guy. All three of us go one after another on a sniper instead of, going all together. And the enemy player proceeds to ace. This time, the problem wasn't that I lacked information. I had the information, I had the utility, I simply failed to do anything with them. Knowing where the AVP was changed absolutely nothing about what I actually did and I could do. That isn't an aim problem, that is a knowledge problem. And then there is this attempt. My teammate throws a perfectly good flash and I finally get an opening kill. My crosshair is roughly where it needs to be, I react quickly and for a brief moment I actually look competent.
Last one. Complete the mission.
Recoil control. Non-existent. I never properly transferred to the second player. My crosshair stays low, the bullets spray. I prayed and I met God. While all three attempts look like the same problem, entry failure, they have failed completely for different reasons. In the first one, my crosshair placement was quite poor, I entered alone and nobody could trade me. The second one, I had the information and the utility, but I failed to do anything useful with either. And in the third, my teammate created the opening, but my aim failed during the second fight. So maybe I'm bad at entering bomb site isn't actually the problem, it is the result. And that brings me to my conundrum. And that brings me to my problem? And that brings me to my dilemma. Because if I label all 3 of these deaths as bad entries, then the obvious solution is to practice entering sites, but I have already practiced bad entries for at least 1000 hours, and repeating them more often is clearly not the breakthrough I need. In every single match, aim, movement, positioning, utility, communication and decision making are all happening at the same time. And if I want to understand which parts of my game are actually weak, I need to isolate them. Mechanics can be tested, decisions can be reviewed, and together they might finally show me what kind of a player I am underneath all this chaos. It's time to see my core stats.
Bomb has been planted.
1-ups.
He jumped off. He's holding your pit.
3 pit. 2 pit maybe. One side, 1 pit.
Terrorists win.
3 pit. Yeah. One step on the go.
3 being pit is fucking diabolical. I'm not sure that you and me could sit down for an hour and think of all Counter-Strike 2 skills and name their importances. What do I even test? So I asked ChatGPT. Always double check all the facts you are given by an aim model, thank you. And discovered how much game knowledge I'm lacking. For an example, I even vaguely knew that roles existed in Counter-Strike. What the fuck is a support in Counter-Strike? Can he like heal me? Provide like emotional support? What exactly is being supported? What do I even test? I need to find tests with enough results behind them to show me how I compare to everyone else. And when that is not possible, we will go based on my feeling of how good I should be at that mechanic. I will not test every single minute thing about myself this video. I will test things that I consider to be the main thing. Like for example, aiming. I'm not going to test every part of aiming today because there is a plethora of them. I'm starting with 2 mechanics that I can isolate reasonably well. Flicking and recoil control, more specifically the M4, the silent type, and the AK-47 recoils. My flick shots are not the best in the world, but I most definitely do not feel confident in them. But I do hit one every so often and it's pretty epic every time it happens. So, I load up the application called Aim Labs. Your mom picked me the most badass profile picture and I looked for the most suitable map to use as our baseline. I settled on. The reason I took that one is because the targets of this map are not the size of a planet like in some other ones. During the test, I noticed that my mouse sensitivity is off the charts. It got so bad that my hand started to hurt with all the micro fixes, but we're not changing anything today. Today is a testing day and the results are, drumroll please, most definitely below average compared with other people who play this particular task. That does not grade my entire aim, but it gives me a sort of baseline and idea of how much I can improve, which honestly, definitely a positive thing for me because I have already found a space to improve. An important note, this map has gone through a couple of versions and the way they keep score has changed, so I have chosen the results over the last year and called it a day. Now let's see whether my recoil control is any better. There is no recoil control practice in Aim Labs, but there is a plethora of them in Counter-Strike 2 custom maps. However, we do not have any user data to compare it to, so it cannot tell me exactly how I compare with every Counter-Strike 2 player, but it can give me a repeatable baseline and later prove whether I've actually improved or not. Therefore, I'm gonna conclude how good it is based on my ambitions and dreams. Now, to test how good my recoil control is, I'm gonna test it by shooting first 5 bullets, then 10, and then the whole magazine of the gun at the enemy while keeping the distance constant. Then I will get the average accuracy and the percentage of shots that were headshots, because it is not only about hitting the targets, but it's also about eliminating them as fast as possible. This will give me 3 different averages to more specifically show me what I'm good or bad at. Not a perfect way, but it is what I have for now. The map I have chosen has a built-in percentage hit counter, so it will come in quite handy. I did the test in all 3 categories 10 times, and the results now on the surface, this number seem okay, even good. However, if politics has taught me anything, graphs always lie, because this average takes 10 separate attempts and compresses them into one nice neat number, and quietly hides everything embarrassing underneath. You see, my average hit percentage is not bad. The problem is the consistency. It's all over the place, especially for the 10 bullet bursts. My average accuracy isn't terrible, but my consistency is. The worst part is, under identical conditions, I'm not producing identical results. Keep in mind, this is for a static target on consistent distance and with the same gun. How I managed to get 0% headshots on a static target is beyond me. Can you imagine how bad it gets in-game, especially given the distance and the positioning of my enemy and, well, me. I'm gonna kill that green. I'm gonna kill that green.
I'm throwing fire. Flashback.
One long, one long.
Too long, 3 long, 3 long.
Fuck, man.
Unlike recoil control, positioning doesn't give me a conventional and convenient hit percentage. A position can only be good or bad in context. Where are my teammates? What is my weapon? Where is your mom currently? And what am I actually trying to accomplish? So I needed a different kind of test. Or, well, measurement would be a better word. I took 50 engagements from my last 10 games. I'm not gonna show you all of them, do not worry. And analyze them with the same set of questions that are important to identify whether my positioning and peeking were good or bad. Let's take a look at a couple of interactions that demonstrate the best my current state. Let's start with a fun one. Currently, we're at the map Inferno, making our way to the apartments, peeking the hall with an MP7. The first peek was alright, the second one did not happen. Currently, I have no idea whether there is or isn't a person behind me. He can do whatever he wants to me. The aim and the pre-fire in the first one were alright, but it's hard to judge it because, well, there was nobody there. This final peek reveals a plethora of information. My teammate calls out,
One, too long, two side.
I roughly know where they are, bring us to the first very important question for every engagement. Did I, or did I not, clear one angle at a time? God no. Why? I have no idea. I have a clear view where one of the enemies is, and I think I did the right thing here where I fell back for cover. Right now, I have a really good case of re-peeking. Because there is 2 of us attacking from 2 angles while the enemy is attacking only from 1. In my mind, making us both tradable, but only if we create a crossfire. So I pre-aim, in my humble opinion, pretty spot on. However, I did not take into the account that there is 2 of them, and I swing far enough for both of them to see me. Almost kill one of the enemies, panic a bit, fall back while blasting my gun. While previously I have failed terribly to pre-aim according to the information I was given, second time my pre-aim was spot on. However, I have completely ignored a crucial fact and made a 2-on-2 fight a 2-on-1 because I did not time the fight with the movement of my green teammate. May he rest in peace. Now, dying does not mean that your positioning is bad. You can get kills with bad positioning and bad peeking. What I'm saying is, you can get lucky. For example, I think they're going B again.
Grenade out.
Bomb B.
Indeed it is.
Throwing fire.
I know, pretty impressive stuff. Let's talk how actually it is shit. The call to push the smoke, I think was the right one, because our green just killed one of them. They have showed the bomb on banana, and I hear that on the mid there is a guy with a scout. So after he shot, I pushed the smoke to secure my kill. I did the right thing by pushing the left side, so I have more cover. However, I do not utilize it fully. My aim is alright. Luckily the enemy had a scout only. Furthermore, I do the right thing and push the banana. But I do not do all the right things there. I get extremely lucky there. Now, checking this corner was the right call. Not using my smoke to cut off the vision from the car was a huge mistake, because at any point, if an enemy player has taken a look, I would have had zero cover and my aim would not be ready for a fight. Once more, when I did take that fight, I got extremely lucky again, because the enemies were looking at the other direction. Again, I overpeaked, but I got a double kill. We have two similar situations, two completely different outcomes. That's called getting lucky. I need to change that urgently, because I cannot control the enemy, but I can control what I am doing. I can choose to clear one angle at a time or to risk it and rush in. But what if I do not know I'm risking anything? That is way more dangerous.
Something. Nice.
Something city, be careful. Church. Oh, you bitch! Well played. To know what to do, first I need to learn all the spots to hold or not to hold, because that way I will improve my defense and offense, because I will know where to pre-aim and how to peek it. Let's talk about my map knowledge. Most maps I know like the backside of your mother. However, I still find myself not knowing all the callouts in the heat of the moment. I still find myself not knowing the most basic ass smokes and flashes. We will not be testing my utility knowledge today, because I have none. Like, I failed, it's a 0, an F. In current rotation, that will change any day now, there are 7 maps. Knowing a map can mean almost anything. There is a lot to know and test about each and every map, but that's not for today. The way I will test my knowledge is by taking a blank overview of each map and writing down all of the callouts for the map. With a 60-second time limit, because callouts are usually done under pressure. And I think that 60 seconds is just right. What I'm trying to test is whether I can communicate where something is happening. I think that is enough for now. It's gonna tell me plenty. So how did I do? I expect overpass to be my weakest simply because I do not play it that often. There are 46 callouts for the overpass, and out of those 46, I knew only 22. That seems really bad. I knew almost nothing on the B-sides of the map, but not every wrong answer is equally wrong. For example, the van callout, I call that blue truck. Not once did I get corrected by my teammates. Technically, that name was wrong. Functionally, it was enough to inform my teammates where the enemy is. But the bigger problem, the more dangerous problem, is the wrong callouts. For example, the call trash, I call that stairs. Such callouts may have lost me countless fights. Even more of a glaring problem, I knew a reasonable amount of A side, but on B, that's the neighborhood you do not go to. But we are going to Anubis, where I did even worse, only 16 out of 40. Dust was 28 out of 52, Ancient and Nuke were my strongest maps at around 56%. Everything else was gathered somewhere in the middle across all 7 maps. I did 171 out of 335 callouts, almost exactly 51%. Now, that is a lot of numbers, but the thing you will spot quite quickly is that while I do have the basics of the callout, there is a plethora of space to learn the calls that make or break the game. A lot of times I will find myself in game seeing an enemy there and being unable to call it out. The callout test doesn't measure all of my map knowledge, it's only a small part of knowing a map. What about common positions, rotations, timings, utilities, the safest route, the fastest route, pause plans, retakes, boosts, wall bangs, and every angle that I discovered only by getting shot from it. I could practice some recoil today, learn a random smoke tomorrow, watch a guide next week about something. I could continue on my merry way and do a random test now and then, and I'm 100% certain I would improve. But that is exactly what I have been doing for the last 1000 hours. It's accidental. I don't want to improve, especially by accident. I want to be the best, toughest motherfucker on this side of the planet. But clearly I cannot brute force my way there by pressing play another 1000 times, because that's not how things work. Counter-Strike isn't just one singular skill, it's a whole bloody system. Be careful, ADP.
B.
Shit.
He checked CT. Reserve.
I'm blocked by smoke, bro.
Together,
one?
try together.
Banana. Close. What the fuck?
Cover me, bro. Just cover me.
CT, yeah.
Ah, city!
CT.
Left side.
Nice.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Time.
Come on. Holy shit.
Please. That's one ladder.
No. Insane clutch. GG.
What a game.
That was insane.